All that matters is...
Wrong!
This town deserves a better class.
Heavy Metal Podcast.
I'm gonna give it...
If you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Walk through the gate of consciousness. Stop flows drop from under you.
Microphone! It's a microphone! Hey! Why do they call it a microphone? Looks pretty big to me. Can't even call my mom on this thing.
No, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I found a microphone.
Yeah, this is where I record the podcast. Stupid idiot brain, how did you get in here? There's a code on the door.
I put my birthday.
God damn it. I gotta change that now. And it's my birthday technically, but we have the same one because you're my stupid idiot brain, so...
I cracked the code.
Yeah, you sure did. Hey, why are you in here, stupid idiot brain?
I'm helping.
Oh, no, you're not. And I'm starting kind of a big series today with lots of information, and I'm trying something new here, so I really need to focus, okay?
Okay.
So can you, leave so I can get started?
Okay. I'll go get us some covfefe.
That sounds good. And just FYI, covfefe was funny for about 6 months in 2017, stupid idiot brain, and now it's not. You can just say coffee.
Coffee?
God damn it.
How do I get back in?
How do you get back in the door? You mean the code?
I do.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll change it to your birthday this time, all right?
Intriguing. What's my birthday?
Well, now, if I told you, you wouldn't have any fun trying to crack the code, don't you think?
I don't. Is it 867-5309?
Nope, that's just another dumb cliche, but you gotta figure it out by the time you come back from leaving.
I'm gonna order a tall covfefe.
Okay, please don't. Just go ahead and go.
I'm going. Hey, why do they call it a microphone? Looks pretty big to me.
Uh-huh, you can't even call your mom on this thing, am I right?
You're right. That's funny. We're funny.
Okay, bye.
Covfefe.
Just shut up, you idiot, shut up. Okay, I think he's gone. Just take a hit of my covfefe. God damn it. And welcome to And Volume for All, a deeply reverent and lovingly irreverent exploration of the history, philosophy, and future of the greatest music in the world, heavy metal. I am your Joel Hosteen, Quinn. I could have used that one about 2 episodes ago. And despite a bit of a silly start today, we are taking on what some consider to be a very serious subject, war. And what, if anything, it might actually be good for. Absolutely nothing if you ask me. And good God, y'all, I'll say it again. Again. Well, I watched Stupid Idiot Brain walk out that door, but it sort of feels like he never left, Anyway, here is the proverbial thing, Mother Punchers. We're not talking about just any war today. I wouldn't waste your time with some Second Punic War bullshit. I mean, what am I, a first century Sangantine? I'm not. I don't think. No, today we are talking about the Great War, or as it is more widely known, World War I. Designated at the time as the war to end all wars, World War I performed exactly as advertised, ending all wars forever for just a little over 20 million people. Those lucky ducks never participated in a single battle ever again. Or really anything at all. As for the rest of us, we had to just go on fighting wars for at least... just check in with me at the end of the episode and I'll see where we're at. So you might be wondering, hey Quinn, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. I miss Dio, and I know a lot of you do too, so there's that. And thanks again for your lovely messages and for sharing those episodes on Twitter. And of course, leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podfix. Oh, you haven't done that yet? Okay, well, feel free to pause the show right here and go make that dream a reality. And yes, the phrase well-researched is hyphenated, but no, mentioning that I'm 6'1" and was probably pretty good looking at one point doesn't get me any extra points. But I appreciate the thought, Mom. So now you may be wondering, hey Quinn, why'd you say you were fine? Also, why are we talking about World War I? Isn't this a metal podcast? And wasn't there a sequel to World War I with a way better villain and a much higher body count that always gives my Republican uncle a noticeable chub?
Hey, Quinn, ever teach you about the Battle of the Bulge up there in your gay acting school?
No, but it looks like you're fighting it right now, Uncle Touchy. You want to back up a step, please? And we don't call it gay acting school. We just call it gay school, okay? Anyway, the answer to your first imaginary question is yes, this is a metal podcast, but I'm going to try to do something a little different for this one. Y'all have been so great about taking the occasional dimly lit path with me, your dimly lit host, on our mutual sojourn toward heavy metal enlightenment, and this path is just a little bit longer. But I also think worthy. I want to keep things interesting for you and myself, and so I try to find unique ways of highlighting the music that we all love, some of which we have all loved for a very long time. I like to think of great works of art as a complicated object in the center of a dark room. Anytime we get the chance to investigate that object, it's like we're shining a light from a different angle, and hopefully, in that process, we can discover a new way of seeing or thinking about our subject, even a subject that we are so familiar with, it seems to have lost the ability to surprise us. At this moment, I can recreate in my head the exact sound of Tony Iommi's hand sliding down the neck of his guitar at the end of the bridge on Iron Man, just before he comes back to the riff. It's basically part of my DNA.
A, C, G, or T?
I don't know, Tony. Does it matter?
I'd like it to be the T.
The T. For Tony?
Even better.
Okay. Anything else?
No. Bye.
Bye. Look, that dude is my hero, but he is getting weirder by the minute. Anyway, my point is I'm never going to stop looking at albums like Paranoid from new angles, because if I change my perspective, I might find a new way of experiencing it that I haven't previously. And with the truly great, timeless artists like Shakespeare and Sabbath, I almost always do. So this series is about trying to shine a light on the familiar subject of heavy metal from a unique or at least unfamiliar angle. The premise is certainly unique for this podcast, and as far as I know, any podcast. I've certainly never heard of anything like it on another pod, and maybe there's a reason for that, but hey, never stopped us in the past. Previously, on And Volume for All, I have attempted to explore the history of heavy metal, mostly by reading a ton of online articles and doing silly voices. But today, we are going to attempt an exploration of history through heavy metal by taking a not too deep dive into the war to end all wars, as told by the artists who've chosen as their medium the art form that we all know and love. And in answer to your second imaginary question, also yes. World War II is obviously the favorite child of 20th century global conflicts, perpetually fawned over by Mommy Hollywood and Daddy History Channel. The baby of the worldwide mass casualty family has not only a clear moral justification, but also a super scary bad guy. And other than the 40 to 60 million dead people, a pretty happy ending. But no matter how much we all like to pretend that the little Lord Fauntleroy of human annihilation is an only child, he isn't. World War II actually has an aimless and awkward older brother. Lonesome and brooding, he lurks in the solitude of his creepy, makeshift studio loft over the family garage, digging trenches on the weekends to afford a gas-huffing habit that keeps him mercifully out of our sight until about 3 p.m., when he stumbles into the kitchen to absolutely decimate a bowl of off-brand Cocoa Puffs. No, World War I didn't continue his education in the Pacific. Northwest Business College that his little brother went to, because the Elder World War has really always been just a confused and confusing exercise in human absurdity. As a historical event, and not a metaphor for sibling rivalry that I just made up to justify my predilections for weirdo loner crap, the First World War stubbornly defies the butt truck of romantic narratives that we use to glorify modern warfare in Western culture. For example, if in 1941 a Royal Navy commando or American Marine committed an act of heroic sacrifice, we would almost immediately justify his actions as one small piece in the global effort to rescue liberty from the jaws of fascism. But if that same act of sacrificial heroism occurred in 1914, there is almost no way for us to contextualize that effort as having any larger meaning whatsoever, other than to say it made things less worse for a bit. I hope my international listeners will forgive the American football analogy here, but World War I was like a Super Bowl, where the Germans kicked off to the Triple Alliance of Russia, France, and Britain, who subsequently ran the ball back to the 50-yard line, where both sides then spent the rest of the game fighting over the same 5-yard territory until the U.S. subbed in for France late in the third quarter and Austria-Hungary had to forfeit due to injuries. Boy, I just used an American sports reference to describe European history, which means that exactly no one has any fucking idea what I'm talking about. Feel free to use the word illustrative in that 5-star review if you're so inclined. The point is, no one really won the First World War. Russia, France, and Britain just lost less. So any example of that war's horrific human cost only serves to highlight the fact that it was a colossal planet-wide clusterfuck that served absolutely no purpose other than to get us into the next one. Like Star Trek the Motion Picture. Illustrative is ILLUSTR. You know what? You'll figure it out. And as a 40-plus-year-old white guy, I was given the choice all men are given upon reaching middle age. I could either obsess over the ideal conditions for barbecuing a variety of meats, or one of the 2 world wars. And I chose the first option of the second option, because ultimately, we're all one of 2 kinds of people in this world. Alien or aliens. Black Sabbath or paranoid. Excellent adventure or bogus journey. And I just happen to believe that in space, no one can hear you scream, "Oh no, no, please God help me," you evil metal dickweeds. TRATIVE. And while there are plenty of World War II themed metal songs, albums, and even bands like the Dutch supergroup Hail of Bullets, something about World War I and the musical genre of heavy metal go together like a horse and carriage, if that carriage is filled with dead Frenchmen. No indication of whether or not the horse is French, as it was on loan from the band America. Not Kansas. Screwed that up last time. The band America. And in the country of America, the Second World War has a very clear narrative arc. Germany invades Poland and begins a campaign of systematic extermination of everyone it deems insufficiently pure or undesirable, whereupon the Allied forces unite to topple the evil empire, cue the parade, sailors kissing strangers, and international high-fives all around. Whereas World War I may have held parades for its returning soldiers, but something tells me that it was probably the saddest collection of people marching in a line since, World War I. The predominant characteristic that emerges from retrospective treatments of the First World War is a haunting sense of meaninglessness. There is no clear, definitive moment that can articulate even why the conflict began, let alone why it was necessary. World War I was born out of a paranoid nationalism that only ended when those same nations started running out of people with which to fight. And that, of course, led to a tentative agreement not to do it again, thus the moniker, the war to end all wars. But the enduring images of that seminal global conflict are not those of beleaguered Marines raising the American flag over Iwo Jima or the Allies storming the beaches of Normandy, but rather hundreds of miles of hand-dug trenches, tangled in barbed wire and choked under clouds of chlorine and mustard gas. It has always felt to me like World War II was a horrifying necessity. And World War I was just as horrifying as it was unnecessary, which is where I think metal comes in. We've been talking about heavy metal for 2 seasons now under the definition I proposed on the first episode, sort of a loose confederacy of musical entities dedicated to extremity and opposition, extreme subjects matched by extreme conventions, and one big nasty attitude about the whole thing. Heavy metal, as I've said a lot on this podcast, tends to be critical of its subjects. And it could be argued that there is no topic that metal chooses to address more frequently or ferociously than war, partly because it checks all of those fundamental boxes of extreme circumstances on a superlative scale, but also because we just never stop making new ones. And because metal is, by its nature, a highly critical genre, I think World War I inherently offers more opportunity for critique. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Here's a little medley of some experts on the formation of early heavy metal discussing the movement's opposition to the concept of war.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah. Because we shoot to kill, and you know we always will. It's a bomber, it's a bomber. Scream 1,000 miles, hear the black death, the rising moan. Firestorm coming closer, napalm to the bone. Because, you know we do it right, a mission every night. It's a bomber, it's a bomber, it's a bomber. Look to the left and look to the right, but you will live in danger tonight. When the enemy comes, he will never be heard. He'll blow your mind and not say a word. Lightning lights, flashing colors, sleepless nights. If a man with the power can't keep it under control, some heads are gonna roll. Some heads are gonna roll. You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no turning back. The fuel sounds, the time begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of ice smoke and horse's breath is a virgin into certain death.
I'm sorry, I was told those were metal scholars, but I think those were just songs. I won't read the lyrics to War Pigs because we all more or less know it, and you can understand Ozzy's every word. Wow, am I the first person to say that sentence? I think I am. But the second clip was Bomber by Motorhead in 1979, a story told from the perspective of a psychotic B-29 bomber pilot. Scream 1,000 miles, hear the Black Death rising moan, firestorm coming closer, napalm to the bone. Because, and then he never tells us why. It's one of life's last mysteries. Because it's a bomber. Oh, thanks, Lemmy. I live to teach. Okay. Following Bomber was Judas Priest with a song banned in the wake of 9/11 by the largest owner of radio stations in the United States, Clear Channel, now iHeartRadio, which deemed the song lyrically questionable for sentiments like, "You can look to the left and look to the right, but you will live in danger tonight. When the enemy comes, he will never be heard. He'll blow your mind and not say a word. Blinding lights, flashing colors, sleepless nights. If the man with the power can't keep it under control, some heads are gonna roll." Gotta hand it to Clear Channel with the name change, much better than the original choice, I Heart Dying Alone on Foreign Soil. Accurate, but kind of a bummer.
Bomber.
Yeah, no, yes. Thank you, Lemmy.
Lemmy just wants accuracy.
All right, well, wait, what? And finally, Iron Maiden with The Trooper, a song about the Crimean War conveying an anti-war message that's also highly accessible to nerds. The lyrics read, "You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You'll fire your musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand. There's no turning back." But the song concludes on a somewhat less enthusiastic note with, "As I lay there gazing at the sky, my body's numb and my throat is dry. And as I lay forgotten and alone, without a tear, I draw my parting groan." And while some might say,
"That's just 4 songs. Hasn't heavy metal evolved since then?"
Great question, asshole. Yes, metal did evolve, and a new generation began to approach the subject of war with a much more balanced and considered point of view. Take a listen.
If the river in my life for a long time, watch my dreams disappear.
Oh, nope, no they didn't. They actually got even more anti-war. So I won't read all those lyrics out loud, but here are some notable snippets. First, Beneath the Remains by Sepultura. In the middle of a war that was not started by me, who has won? Who has died? Beneath the Remains. And from Do or Die by Testament, life was looking up for me when I left from home. Seems like yesterday, now I'll never go back there again. Here is where I'll stay. To cross the blood-red trenches of the dead below, do or die, hell is the place you will go. And from Slayer's Mandatory Suicide, holes burned deep in your chest, raked by machine gun fire, screaming soul sent out to die, living mandatory suicide. Last and certainly the best, the inimitable Metallica, with lyrics that I have read before on this podcast and probably will again at some point because they're fucking awesome. From No Remorse, blood feeds the war machine as it eats its way across the land. We don't need to feel the sorrow. No remorse is the one command. War without end. So yeah, that's heavy metal 2.0, or as it is known absolutely nowhere at all, Sepultestalaeralica. Informative. INFOR. You can Google the rest of it. And when you apply those lyrics to the idea of war as a concept, the critique is dead on. But when you apply them to World War II, the rhetoric really comes into conflict with our retrospective glorification of that horribly bloody affair. Certainly in the US and among an older generation. But we here in the States didn't live through our own version of the Birmingham Blitz. We were never under occupation. We didn't see the physical destruction of our country during that time unless it came home to us in a flag-draped coffin of a loved one. And even then, so many Americans could justify that sacrifice as a small part of the greater good. But even in a country as obnoxiously optimistic as my own can be, World War I is never cited as an example of a war as necessity, even a horrific one. The First World War seems just as senseless and tragic to us as it does to the rest of the world, which is why I think World War I is so uniquely suited to heavy metal as a subject for deconstruction and critique. And when we come back, we will dive into that very heavy subject by way of some very heavy sound, the sound we have all come to love, like an awkward and aimless elder sibling who haunts the empty spaces above our parents' hearts and garages. There's a war on, fuckers! When we come back.